Fáfnismál, the Lay of Fafnir, the Ballad of Fafnir. The so-called Fáfnismál, contained in full in the Codex Regius, where it immediately follows the Regnsmál without any indication of a break, is quoted by Snorri in the Gylfaginning, stanza 13, and the Skáldskálarmál, stanzas 32 and 33. And stanzas 6, 3, and 4 appear in the Sverris Saga. Although the Völsunga Saga does not actually quote any of the stanzas, it gives a very close prose parallel to the whole poem in chapters 18 and 19. The general character of the Fáfnismál and its probable relation to the Regnsmál and the Sigurd have been discussed in the introductory note to the Regnsmál. While it is far more nearly a unit than the Regnsmál, it shows many of the same characteristics. It has the same mixture of stanza forms, although in this case only 9 stanzas, 32-33, 35-36, and 40-44, vary from the normal Ljótahattar measure. It shows, though, to a much less marked extent, the same tendency to introduce passages from extraneous sources, such as the question and answer passage in stanzas 11-15. At the same time, in this instance, it is quite clear that one distinct poem, including probably stanzas 1-10, 16-23, 25-31, and 34-39, underlay the compilation which we have here. This may perhaps have been a long poem, not however the Lón Sigurdlay, see introduction note to Brot af Sigurdarkvisu, dealing with the Regn Fafnir Sigurd Brynhild story, and including, besides most of the Fáfnismál, stanzas 1-4, stanzas 6-11 of the Regnsmál, and part of the so-called Sigurdfumál, together with much that have been lost. The original poem may, on the other hand, have confined itself to the Fafnir episode. In any case, and while the extant Fáfnismál can be spoken of as a distinct poem far more justly than the Regnsmál, there is still no indication that the compiler regarded it as a poem by itself. His prose notes run on without a break, and the verses simply cover a dramatic episode of Sigurd's early life. The fact that the work of compilation has been done more intelligently than in the case of the Regnsmál seems to have resulted chiefly from the compiler having been familiar with longer consecutive verse passages dealing with the Fafnir episode. The Regnsmál is little more than a clumsy mosaic, but in the Fáfnismál it is possible to distinguish between the main substance of the poem and the interpolations. Here, as in the Regnsmál, there is very little that bespeaks the German origin of the Sigurd story. Sigurd's winning of the treasure is in itself undoubtedly a part of the earlier southern legend, but the manner in which he does it is thoroughly Norse. Moreover, the concluding section, which points towards the finding of the sleeping Brunhild, relates entirely to the northern Valkyrie, the warrior maiden punished by Odin, and not at all to the southern Brunhild, the daughter of Búthli. The Fáfnismál is, however, sharply distinguished from the Regnsmál by showing no clear traces of the Helgi tradition, although a part of the bird song, stanzas 40-44, in the Fornistalag form, as distinct from the body of the poem, sounds suspiciously like the bird passage in the beginning of the Helgikvita Hjörvardsona. Regarding the general relations of the various sets of traditions in shaping the story of Sigurd, see the introductory note to the Grupispa. The Fáfnismál, together with this part of this Sigurdarfumál, has indirectly become the best known of all the Eddic poems, for the reason that Wagner used it, with remarkably little change of outline, as the basis for his Siegfried. Fáfnismál. Sigurd and Regin went up to the Gnitahith and found there the track that Fafnir made when he crawled to water. Then Sigurd made a great trench across the path and took his place therein. When Fafnir crawled from his gold, he blew out venom, and it ran down from above on Sigurd's head. But when Fafnir crawled over the trench, then Sigurd thrust his sword into his body to the heart. Fafnir writhed and struck out with his head and tail. Sigurd leapt from the trench, and each looked at each other. Fafnir said, "Youth, O youth, of whom then youth art thou born? Say whose son thou art, who in Fafnir's blood thy bright blade reddened, and struck thy sword to my heart." Sigurd concealed his name because it was believed in olden times that the word of a dying man might have great power if he cursed his foe by his name. He said, "The noble heart, my name and I go, a motherless man abroad. Father I had not, and others have, and lonely ever I live." Fafnir spake, "If father thou hast not as others have, by what wonder wast thou born? Though thy name on the day of thy death thou hidest, thou knowest not thou dost lie." Sigurd spake, "My race, methinks, is unknown to thee, and so am I to myself. Sigurd my name, and Sigmund's son, who smote thee thus with the sword." Fafnir spake, "Who blove thee? Why wert thou driven my life to make me loose? My father brave had the bright-eyed youth, for bold in boyhood thou art." Sigurd spake, "My heart did drive me, my hand fulfilled, and my shining sword so sharp. Few are keen when old age comes, who timid in boyhood be." Fafnir spake, "If thou thy mightiest grow, thy friends among, one might see thee fiercely fight, and bound thou art, and in battle taken, and to fear our prisoners prone." Sigurd spake, "Thou blamest me, Fafnir, that I see from afar the wealth that my father's was. Not bound am I, though in battle taken. Thou hast found the free I live."
Fafnir spake, "In all I say dost thou hatred see, yet truth alone do I tell. The sounding gold and the glow red wealth, and the rings thy bane shall be." Sigurd spake, "Someone the hoard shall ever hold, till the destined day shall come, for a time there is, when every man shall journey hence to hell." Fafnir spake, "The fate of the Norns before the headland thou findest in doom of a fool. In the water shalt drown if thou row against the wind. All danger is near to death." Sigurd spake, "Tell me then, Fafnir, for wise thou art famed, and much thou knowest now. Who are the Norns who are helpful in need, and the babe from the mother bring?" Fafnir spake, "Of many births the Norns must be, nor one in race they were. Some to gods, others to elves are kin, and Dvalin's daughters some." Sigurd spake, "Tell me, Fafnir, for wise thou art famed, and much thou knowest now. How call they the isle where all the gods in search shall sword sweat mingle? Fafnir spake, Oskapnir is it, where all the gods shall seek the play of swords. Bifrost breaks when they cross the bridge, and steeds shall swim in the flood. The fear helm I wore to affright mankind, while guarding my gold I lay. Mightier seemed I than any man, for a fiercer never I found.
Sigurd spake, The fear helm surely no man shields when he faces a valiant foe. Oft one finds when the foe he meets that he is not the bravest of all. Fafnir spake,
Venom I breathed when bright I lay by the hoard my father had. There was none so mighty as dared to meet me, and weapons nor wiles I feared.
Sigurd spake, Glittering worm, thy hissing was great, and hardest showed thy heart. But hatred more have the sons of men for whom he owns the helm. Fafnir spake,
I counsel thee, Sigurd, heed my speech, and ride thou homeward hence. The sounding gold, the blow-red wealth, and the rings thy bane shall be.
Sigurd spake, Thy counsel is given, but go I shall to the gold, to the heather hidden. And Fafnir thou with death dost fight, lying where hell shall have thee. Fafnir spake,
Regin betrayed me, and thee will betray. Us both to death will he bring. His life, methinks, must Fafnir lose, for the mightier man wast thou.
Regin had gone to a distance while Sigurd fought Fafnir, and came back while Sigurd was wiping the blood from the sword. Regin said, Hail to thee, Sigurd! Thou victory hast, and Fafnir in fight has slain. Of all the men who tread the earth, most fearless art thou, methinks. Sigurd spake, Unknown is it, when all are together the sons of the glorious gods. Who bravest born shall seem, some are valiant, who redden no sword in the blood of a foeman's beast. Regin spake, Glad art thou, Sigurd, the battle gained, as Graham was grass thou cleanest. My brother fierce in fight hast slain, and somewhat I did myself. Sigurd spake, Afar didst thou go, whilst Fafnir reddened with his blood my blade so keen. With the might of the dragon my strength I matched, while thou in the heather didst hide. Regin spake, Longer wouldst thou in the heather of let yon hoary giant hide. Had the weapon availed not, the once I forged, the keen-edged blade didst thou bear. Sigurd spake, Better in heart than a mighty blade, for him who shall fiercely fight. The brave man well shall fight and win, though dull his blade may be. Brave men better than cowards be, when the clash of battle comes, and better the glad than the gloomy man shall face what before him lies. Thy rede it was that I should ride hither o'er mountains high. The glittering worm would have wealth and life, if thou hadst not mocked at my might. Then Regin went up to Fafnir and cut out his heart with his sword. That was named Rithil, and then he drank blood from the wounds. Regin said, Sit now, Sigurd, for sleep will I. Hold Fafnir's heart to the fire. For all his heart shall eaten be, since deep of blood I have drunk. Sigurd then took Fafnir's heart and cooked it on a spit. When he thought that it was fully cooked and the blood foamed out of the heart, then he tried it with his finger to see whether it was fully cooked. He burned his finger and put it in his mouth, but when Fafnir's heart's blood came on his tongue, he understood the speech of birds. He heard nuthatches chattering in the thickets. A nuthatch said,
"There sits Sigurd, sprinkled with blood, and Fafnir's heart with fiery cooks. Wise were the breaker of rings, I ween, to eat the life muscles all so bright."
A second spake,
"There Regin lies, and plans he lays, the youth to betray who trusts him well, lying words with wiles while he speaks, till his brother the maker of mischief avenges."
A third spake,
"Thus by the head, let the chattery hoard go from hair to head. Then all of the wealth he alone can wield, the gold that Fafnir guarded."
A fourth spake,
"Wise would he seem, if he so would heed the counsel good we sisters give. Though he would give, and the ravens gladden, there is he ever, wolf, where his ears I spy."
A fifth spake,
"Less wise must be the tree of battle, than to me would seem the leader of men. If forth he lets one brother fair, when he of the other the slayer is."
A sixth spake,
"Most foolish he seems, if he shall spare his foe the bane of the folk. There Regin lies, who hath wronged him so, yet falsehood knows he not."
A seventh spake,
"Let the heat of the frost-cold giant be hewed, and let him of rings be robbed. Then all the wealth which Fafnir's was shall belong to thee alone."
Sigurd spake, "Not so rich a fate shall Regin have, as the tale of my death to tell. For soon the brothers both shall die, and hence the hell shall go." Sigurd hewed off Regin's head, and then he ate Fafnir's heart, and drank the blood of both Regin and Fafnir. Then Sigurd heard what the nuthatch said.
"Bind, Sigurd, the golden rings together. Nothing kingly is it aught to fear. I know a maid, there is none so fair, rich in gold if thou mightest get her. Green the path that to Yuki lead, and his fate the wanderer way shows. The doughty king a daughter has, that thou as a bride may Sigurd buy."
Another spake,
"A hall stands high on hither fjall, all with flame is it ringed without. Warriors wise did make it once out of the flaming light of the flood. On the mountain sleeps a battle maid, and about her plays the bane of the wood. Ig with the thorn hath smitten her thus, for she felled the fighter he fain would save. There mayst thou behold the maiden helmed, who forth on Völsunga rode from the flight. The victory bringer her sleep shall not break, thou hero's son, so the Norns have set."
Sigurd rode along Fafnir's trail to his lair and found it open. The gateposts were of iron, and the gates of iron too were all the beams in the house, which were dug down into the earth. There Sigurd found a mighty store of gold, and he filled 2 chests full thereof. He took the fear-helm, and the golden mailcoat, and the sword Hiroti, and made other precious things, and loaded Grani with them, but the horse would not go forward until Sigurd mounted on his back.